Brian Cashman, good enough to take some time with us this morning. Cash, good morning. I know you're busy. I know everybody's yanking at you for information here. Nice to see you, by the way. It's good times for the Yankees here with the Fried announcement. I have so many things to ask you about to start with. And I guess the first one is, at what point was there a plan B in place? Was it as soon as you began the discussions with Soto and his camp, or did that evolve?
I mean, we started all winter engaging all free agents and teams about opportunities. You never assume anything when you enter free agency, and so, we just tried to have as many dialogues as we could, line up potential price tags and what the pressure points and needs were, who actually were viable options, and then just kind of waited. Unfortunately, the Soto situation and the decision there took us into the beginning of the winter meetings, so obviously some of the inventory came off the board before everybody descended on the winter meetings, but we were obviously ready and willing with the pivot once ultimately Soto made his choice.
Hey, Cash, good morning, man. You looking good? I like that hoodie you got working there.
Yeah, thank you, my friend.
I like that hoodie.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Hey, so let me ask you, after the World Series,
I had to dress up nice for you guys today.
After the World Series, and you get a chance, that series ends, and Brian Cashman's going, we're this close once again. What was on your list to kind of, outside of Soto, you want to bring him back, but what did you look at and say, this gets us to over the hump?
We definitely had a World Series opportunity roster. We didn't play our best baseball, but of course, you're always never perfect. Even when you become world champs, there's certainly dents in the armor. So clearly, we weren't the best defensive team last year. So one of the things that will help is improving the defense. Obviously, supporting that pitching staff the best we possibly can, and that's certainly something by design. Get in the new rule age of baseball, athleticism is obviously vitally important too. So, we starting that transition, whether it was promoting Volpe a few years ago, becoming our shortstop, or obviously importing a Jazz over from the Marlins at the trade deadline last year, all designed to get us more athletic. Obviously, there's a lane right now ready to go with the young Jason Dominguez, very, athletic, high ceiling guy that, there's a position for him to take there in center field. So, look forward to providing Booney with potentially a more athletic, dynamic team, and that you could see on the base pass and on the defensive side to secure outs. But we'll see. We got to see how it plays out. It doesn't mean I'm still not interested in guys that can loft the ball, because obviously home runs are the keys of the kingdom at the same time. But yeah, I mean, the defense bit us in the butt, as you guys saw in the postseason and at times during the regular season. So it'd be nice to shore that up. But pitching, that's always the name of the game.
So you've been around long enough to see A-Rod's 250, and you acquired him and actually extended him. Jeter 189. You've been around big numbers. When it got to 700 or up around 600 or so, did you kind of go, whew, this is new territory. The game's in a different spot.
Oh, I think I did that well before the 700 number. So, no doubt. Like, obviously, because of the Steinbrenner family, we're always big game hunting. They allow us the opportunity, to wade into the deep waters. And but this was what's that trench in the middle of the ocean that goes all the way down really deep. This one was obviously something completely different. And last year the Yamamoto negotiations went far beyond what I think anybody in the industry would have predicted, whether it's media coverage or clubs, or even the player and his agent. But that's what's the great thing about free agency, which is such a good benefit to the players. You get that free market and you have no idea. It's so unpredictable. So this Yamamoto's took off last year at heights no one would have expected, and clearly the Soto took off to heights no one would have expected. And what's even more amazing is, and I still, until it's official, I won't backtrack to find out what was real, what wasn't real, but it really honestly seemed like there was a number of teams at the highest level, like double what anybody's ever done before, which is, unheard of, right? But again, that's what free market's all about, and you gotta tip your hat to Juan Soto and for obviously navigating his career to free agency through 3 different teams to put himself in a position to make a choice for the next 15 years of his life for him and his family, and that's what it's all about. So from the Yankee standpoint, no retreat, no surrender. We get back after it and find a way to put together a roster that our fans are going to be excited about, and we think will take us a chance. We want to defend that American League title and get back in the World Series and try to win it. So we'll get after it.
So a couple things, Brian. I feel like media members, fans love to spend their favorite team's money, and now that the 760-ish offer was out there that you guys were involved in with Soto, everybody just assumes that there's $760 million to spend someplace else. We know that that's not necessarily the case, and more of a statement, less of a question, I suppose, that I'd love your response to. Feels like you guys have an opportunity now to kind of maneuver a little bit better without knowing that you've earmarked so much money to one player. We've already seen some of it spent on Max Fried. Where else? Where else in the market are you looking to improve specifically?
Well, we haven't officially spent any money on anybody yet, but obviously
pending a physical.
We're clearly, but I agree with you with the all the eggs in one basket laser focus on Soto, and if that was playing out, obviously, you're gonna have to have some give somewhere in the roster, and that comes to the kids waiting in the wings that give them a chance to go through their growing pains. That we have a lot of young talent that we're excited about. We already saw what Clark Schmidt has done and how he's emerged in the rotation. Luis Hill being Rookie of the Year, and Austin Wells being, almost Rookie of the Year this past year, and Volpe establishing himself as an everyday shortstop on a championship caliber team. And now we got Dominguez, and we have a young Rice, we have a young Durbin, and other guys. So we're going to look at those, and Warren and et cetera. I'm sure I'm missing some guys out here, but at the end of the day, those guys are guys that we can have opportunities still with, but we get to diversify too. As you said, instead of all the eggs in one basket, we get a chance to explore what's in the marketplace, trade or free agency, and measure that with what we got, measure it with what the price of acquisition is, whether it's dollars or talent, and see how it all adds up. And, again, the job here on behalf of our fan base is to put together something that's capable of fighting for a World Series title, and that's the same core mission year in and year out, and that's never going to change.
It's amazing when you list off all those names, people don't seem to think about the Yankees with their homegrown talent. You got a lot of homegrown talent on that field, so I commend you with that, and thanks for pointing that out. I want to ask you my question. That was just a good statement about you, Brian, but here's my question for you. Max Fried, tell us why Max Fried, what you saw in him, and what do you think he's going to do for you?
Well, I have to kind of avoid any specific. I can just tell you that, there's different ways to skin the cat. So we've certainly looked at the top of the free agent pitching market, whether that's Snell, who's already come off the board, or Burns, or Fried. However order you wanted to try to put those in, you find out the price tags on that. There's certainly starting pitching in the trade acquisition market too. Certain clubs have some high ceiling guys that they're willing to talk about, and you try to pry them away, as well as the position player group that's in the free agent side. So we are fully engaged and flexible right now because of the Soto finality that came through to try to go different ways. But clearly, I'm not in a position to speak any further than that. I'll let you guys cover, the qualities of those players in the marketplace, and until we can present something officially somewhere at some point, then I think I could put some meat on the bones on reasons why behind stuff. But right now, I'm still in the I got to be in the quiet zone on things like that.
Yeah,
got it.
No, understood, totally understood. So in the loud zone, we'll let you go on this. What's next? What are you looking? What would you like to do at the end of the winter as you head to spring training? They said, all right, Cash, you filled the buckets you needed to fill. What would those buckets be that you'd be looking for?
Constantly reinforcing the pitching. Listen, if we can add to the pitching staff, whether it's the rotation or the bullpen, or if you add to the rotation, it could push pieces into the bullpen. We have some vacancies from free agency. So adding to the pitching, it gives us more choices that we could trade from that inventory. Or just obviously the depth we can rely upon. And then separately, we have those areas of need on the infield. Rizzo is a free agent. Jazz can play second or third. Gleyber Torres is a free agent. So we got to look into the marketplace and measure that, what we have from within with the pressure points of the price of acquisition. Outfield, obviously, we do have Grisham. We have, obviously a possible lane right now for Dominguez. Judge can swing back to right, so we can play on the outfield stuff a little bit. And so we get to, ultimately there's a number of different things that we really have to drill down on and decide upon. And some of them get eliminated in terms of choices in the marketplace for us by cost. I don't want to pay a price that I don't think is warranted, whether it's a trade price or a free agent price potentially. That'll take us off the board. Maybe a player on free agency doesn't want to come here to New York. So all of a sudden we just got to find out what is a real tangible opportunity and measure about what it's against here. And you got to do it really quick because it's a quickly moving market. People want to get their business done in reality while they're here at the winter meetings and get as much heavy lifting done as possible. And so I'm going to try to take advantage of the rest of this day as much as I can before I depart back to New York. Well, given how busy we know you are, we appreciate you carving out some time with us, Brian. Appreciate the time very much. Happy holidays to you, and thanks for the visit today. Thanks for having me.